What's up, everybody? I just got done with my last grow, and I've had these lights for about a year now. I've got about 3 grows on them, well, 2.5 grows on these lights. I decided to do a 1-year review on these Spider Farmer SE-7000 8-bar 730 watt lights that I've been using for the last year in my flower room. When I got these lights a year ago, these were a huge step up from anything I'd used. Basically I used only some quantum boards and a one bar type light I used before, and none of them were even close to these. I knew I wanted bar lights, and these were just the ticket for max value versus what they could do. So these are, like I said, 730 watts. They're more than enough power. Right now I've got them at 30% because I've got nothing going on in here right now. I'm basically resetting the room for the next grow. But these are about 30%. It's still bright in here. You can't really stare at them too long without hurting your eyes. But yeah, these things for the last year have been pretty awesome. I knew I wanted bar style lights for my grow room, because in a home grow, especially a tent, but even in my grow room, I've only got so much vertical space. And when you're growing, certain things are just going to happen out of your control, where your plants are going to be bigger than you want them to be and bigger than they should be for the area. Like my last grow, if you haven't watched that, go back and check my last grow, and you'll see that the plants were all the way up. Especially, there was a couple plants on this side here that were all the way up in the lights. So I've got these lights, I almost have them at as high as I can get them, but the point is, these plants were massive, and it's not something you plan on. You don't plan on having plants that are going to get all that high. You always plan on having a little extra vertical space, but things happen, and sometimes the plants just get too big and out of control. So the last grow, those plants were all the way up in these lights. And what's crazy is, I had these things on full power a lot of that time. I was using CO2 obviously, but I had these lights on full power a lot of that time, especially when I had the CO2 going. I had them on full power almost the whole way. And of about, so many pieces of plant that were touching these lights, I only got a few burned tops out of all the plants. Like literally, the only parts that burned was when a plant was literally touching the diodes. And even the plants were just hanging on the side like this, the sides of the plants, things like that, none of them burned. Only the ones that were basically touching the diodes burned. And there's only a handful of those. So that's the first part of this review is basically applauding how well these lights do as far as, saving space, but being able to have plants within inches, like within 1 inch, and not burn it is crazy. It's not. This is definitely the future of growing, because in the past, if you got your plants anywhere near that, all the tops were going to burn, and it was going to be, a huge loss. But in these, literally, I lost almost nothing having my plants. I had a couple of plants growing up through the things, but the ones that were touching the lights, having all my plants right up here, and I had barely any loss from burned tops. So that's, in my opinion, the biggest benefit of these lights, which is kind of tying into the second part. The biggest benefit I'm talking about is the spread. The spread is super uniform and even all the way across this whole. These are rated for 5x5, 5x5, I guess recreational use, and then they say like 4x4 commercial use. I have them in a 4. Let's see, my quadrants here are 4 foot and 4 inches by 4 foot and 4 inches. So these lights are ideal for me. I'm somewhere between, commercial and recreational as far as what I'm shooting for here. I'm basically trying to do the best I can as a hobby grower. But yeah, these things fill this space out wall to wall in here. I don't need reflective walls. I don't need reflective anything. I don't need to enclose this area. This thing does good all the way to the edges, high PPFD all the way through my entire quadrants here, and was not only high PPFD, but when I first got these lights, I did a few little checks, you know, kind of seeing how the PPFD fell off as you go down. But the difference between these and quantum boards or any like single point light source is it quantum boards and things like that, they really, the PPFD really falls off as you go away from light. But in these, it's kind of it's an interesting, you know, it's just an interesting thing that happens with these is that as you move away from the light, the PPFD stays pretty constant as you get like a depth into your plants. So it's a real neat, I guess just the way these arrays work. It keeps the PPFD spread, real spread, as well as consistent as you move away from the lights. It stays a lot more consistent than the other single point light sources. But yeah, you know, I don't have any other bar lights to compare these to, but I have what I have grown with to compare these to, and these have blown everything else out of the water. Just everything, light, bright, you know, convenient, but my main favorite thing about these lights is how much space, you know, they save you space, but how close to the lights you can get. So how much space you can use of your vertical space. The closer to the light you can get, the more your vertical space you can use. And like I said, I don't try and get close to the lights, but it happens sometimes. So yeah. The other thing, I don't really have a problem with temperatures, but you know, a lot of other people say the drivers are pretty cool, or you can put them outside the tent, so it's not too bad. But I don't really have a problem with that. So literally, with these lights, for me, it's been all positives and zero negatives. Like I said, the build quality has been solid the whole time. I've had zero problems with any of these. None of the connections. I really put these up. Actually, I put them in a tent a year ago for the end of one run, and then I moved them from the tent out to this area and put all four of my lights up. And since then, I've had zero problems with any of these lights. The dimmer, everything on these worked fantastic. Every connection I have on these things connected easily. The plugs, everything else, everything connected, plugged in, put together real easily. And I haven't had any problems the entire year. So yeah, I don't know what else I can say about these things except for I'm super pleased with them, and I'm not planning on an upgrade anytime soon. Maybe if somebody wants to throw some free lights at me, I'll try them, but I don't see myself, I mean, honestly, I've got everything I ever wanted for lights in here right now, so I don't see myself trying to upgrade these. But either way, I just thought I'd make this quick short video, kind of a shout out to Spider Farmer on these badass lights, and let everybody else know that's growing and trying to figure out what kind of lights to use, that this is a great option. I'm not even sure what they have. I think these days they have different lights out. They do some Bridge Lux at 830 or 860 something, whatever. I don't know if I would go with those. I know that these have the Samsung 301B diodes, and these work like a champ the entire way. I've got dense big buds. You know, if you got all your other things on point, these lights are not going to disappoint you. So either way, you watched this far, I appreciate you watching. If you haven't yet, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with more stuff later, basically all growing related, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.